The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Tampa. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the Tampa area in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I've been doing this show now for 10 years. 10 years we've been doing the Ask the Expert show. And one thing I've always prayed about was that the expert we get is really good, takes care of their clients or patients. And it's kind of a crapshoot in a way. But I got to tell you, our guest this morning, she's always our first guest on the last Monday of the month. We have gotten some of the greatest letters, and attorney Debbie Baker, and I have this great communications, and we're so lucky, we're so blessed to have her. And I hope she doesn't get a big head, but knowing Debbie, she won't. Let me introduce you to Debbie Baker of London Baker Law.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
The cat's almost here. Okay, wait. Okay.
Yeah.
He ran. For those watching, we had an incident here at my house, and he got scared because there were people raising their voices, not at him, but anyway. How are you, Steve?
We're doing well. We just got notice on Friday from it's not Google, but it's like Google, saying that in Tampa we have a 91% hearing and viewing percentage, which is amazing. And that makes Tampa one of our top markets of all of our cities. But Debbie, first of all, we got to introduce, we're getting new people every week. And there's a lot of new viewers and listeners who this is their first time hearing your show. We're talking estate planning. Tell people about your practice and yourself.
It's great because, I get to say something a little bit different each month. I've been thinking about that. Well, I had a career as an executive coach for over 30 years, and I thought about law school when I was a legitimate undergraduate at those ages. And it was just not the right time to go. I always had good excuses. First one being I didn't want to borrow the money, which in light of how much money I borrowed to go to law school
yes,
in this century was silly. But in any event, I went to law school and I've always been driven to be of service. It's always been my motivating factor. I've never been motivated by the financial reward. It's always the psychic, I guess, or the visceral reward of knowing that I could be of service to somebody and they can walk away from something having a problem solved. And estate planning is very much about solving problems. It's about, and I like asking difficult questions, and I like having difficult conversations, and people will tell you I'm really good at difficult questions. It's having people look honestly at where they are and where they want to be, and how do they want their families taken care of after they're gone, and who do they want to have take care of them while they're still here, and maybe they are no longer have capacity however you define that, legally or however. And it's really a joyous, it's a pretty joyous, it's not always fun, like not a lot of laughing all the time, but
Yes.
if I can't make it fun, I'm not going to do it. And I think I'm pretty funny, but the clients I work with, if we're not able to make not light of a situation, but not find something to smile at in a situation, then it's much too heavy a situation to move forward with. And I'm not the right match because I don't want to do that. Oh, I do estate planning and probate and trust, and I'm venturing into elder law, all with the idea of how do I bring a service as my gift from God to people who need it.
Well, I know you did a lot. You've done a lot of coaching in your time, and I can understand because when you're a coach, you have got to be able to communicate with people, and that seems like that's what you do best.
Yeah, God gave me a gift. I have amazing intuition. People have told me I'm physic, otherwise spelled psychic, and whatever. But and I do have a gift for compassion. So they're good gifts to have anywhere, but they're particularly helpful here. Yeah.
So what's so great about this show, Debbie, is sometimes we take for granted that people know all about estate planning. And you know from your practice, there is so much people do not know about estate planning. And that's why we do a show the way we do. We actually educate people here. It's not an info commercial. So some of the questions might seem pretty easy, but just remember, there's a lot of people out there that do not know. And my first question, and it's mainly because, and we've talked about this before, people like Larry King putting his will on a napkin, or Prince not even having a will. So we need to know how important a will is. So what's a last will and testament? And what are some of the things that should be remembered considering when you're doing a will?
Okay. Well, a last will and testament is the document that people create to indicate what they want to happen to their bounty. I think that's the legal term, their bounty, when they die. And it can be from who gets the house to who gets the vehicles, which can be listed in a will. It can be reference to who gets all my personal property. I have somebody right now who, when they were younger, collected, these are his words, bone china, silver, and sterling, I think he said. And he wants to be sure the people he wants to have get them. So a will is the place that you do that. The other thing, and I'm only licensed in Florida, but I would imagine in every state, there's a way to avoid probate, which is not something anybody wants to do. Well, if an estate is done correctly, however large or small, the will is then there for the unfortunate situation where something shows up after somebody passes that is a vehicle already established to collect assets. So right now there are a lot of Camp Lejeune cases, and I don't have one, but some kind of, like environmental hazard, and people who served at Camp Lejeune are going to receive settlements, I think, eventually from the government or from the company. And the point is that the will would allow it to happen easily. There'd be somebody in place. It's a good catch-all if you have a malpractice lawsuit, if you have a personal injury lawsuit. So it's something that somebody should have, or after you die, so somebody is appointed. And recently, what I had a situation with somebody who does not have anything and wants their brother and their stepson to inherit 25% of his estate. I said, as long each, and then his daughter and son to each inherit 25%. Without the will, in this case, if he dies without the will, that brother and the stepson get nothing by law, because the only people who are eligible for inheritance by law are called lineal descendants. His brother is not a lineal descendant. He's the same generation. And the stepson has no blood relation whatsoever. And so only his son and daughter. So that's a situation where it will be really essential. Otherwise, those two important people to this person would get nothing. It's a place to start. But it all goes into effect after somebody dies.
It's funny. It's not funny. You're trying to keep people out of probate, and because probate can get really expensive.
Really expensive.
What's better when there's a minor child, a trust or a will?
There are minor children. I'm sure that not everybody agrees with me. My position is that if you have a minor child, you want to do a trust. Children cannot inherit money till they're 18 years old anyway. And I've said this before. Would you trust yourself with a lot of money when you're 18? I wouldn't have. But do you really want an 18-year-old to inherit whatever a lot means to you? And the other thing for the trust is, part of a trust is you get to a point who's going to manage that child's money and when they're going to get it. And then you also, as my planning, it's not part of the trust per se, but you really look at who do you want to have raise your children if you're not around to raise them. And I was telling somebody recently who's got young children, I said, if you don't do it for any other reason, you want to do it for this, here's your challenge. Something happens to you, the parents, because even if a couple's divorced and mom's got custody of the children, the natural guardian of the children is the father, so they would go to the father. But if they died together or whatever, and you didn't appoint somebody, whoever looks better on paper gets to raise the kids. And whoever looks better on paper, because the judge doesn't have time to get to know you or whoever, whoever looks better on paper gets the kids. And that might be the person who would be the last person in the world you or the father or the mother of that child would have wanted to raise your children. So it's a very important conversation about who do you appoint. You want them to share your values. You want them to share whatever they are. You want to trust that they'll make the kind of parenting decisions that you would have made to the best of their ability. But regardless of that, minor children, I think, demand a trust.
What do you say to a family member who wants to contest a will?
Well, I say, I think I've said that. I don't do them, but I would refer you to somebody. You want contest a will. Actually, somebody asked me last week if they could put in a will that if one of the beneficiaries contested the will, that they would lose their part of the inheritance. And I said, no, you can't. It's not legal in Florida. And they said, it's not. I said, no, it's not legal in Florida to do that. But I have a situation right now where the two children don't get along, and the one is convinced he'll do anything he needs to do to take the other, and he's convinced his sister would, the first opportunity she had to put his mother in a nursing home, she would do. And so we've going to do the estate in a way that neither one of them has a say at the end of how her assets are disposed of, for fear of the argument. For contesting a will, you better be certain, really certain, and have cash if you want to contest a will. If you think that your loved one was unduly influenced by somebody that they know, whether it's blood or not, and you're pretty sure you can substantiate that, then that might be worth contesting a will. And people find that with people who are older or have less mental capacity. Caregivers influence them. Children influence them. You and I are brother and sister, and I'm the one who sees mom every day, but you're the one she listens to, and you call and say, Deb hasn't been to see you in months. And if anybody went to the guest book, you would see I signed it at noon and I stayed until 2, but mom doesn't have capacity. So, but it's expensive. It's expensive. And it comes out of your part of the inheritance. It's not that if you contested our mother's will that I would wind up paying for that. You pay for it, and all of your fees mean, all of that gets deducted from your half of the inheritance. I don't suffer for that, except emotionally. So not only money, but you really want to figure out, do you want to pull the family completely apart by contesting a will? Do you really want to do that? And some people do. Some people do. Badly.
You know, I got to tell you that the people, the self-will companies, they're not going to like this at all. And I know people are trying to save money, but something that is as important as a will is that why would somebody want to do it themselves and not retain your services?
Well, here's the thing. People will say, my will is very simple. I haven't had that happen yet.
Yeah.
But they think it is. They think, well, I'll just divide everything up amongst my children. And then the conversation starts with, well, one of your children has an alcohol problem. Do you want them to inherit money? Oh no. Or one of your children has credit problems, or do you want them to inherit money? Oh no. So it's rarely straightforward. I can't say I haven't had any that's like just cut and dry. But even so, I've learned you don't do it online because you don't know that you can't guarantee it will be Florida compliant. And I learned recently about reviewing documents that people do themselves is that the best practice is really that an attorney not even review those because they weren't done by an attorney. And, so if you give me documents that you did online and I say they're fine, to turn out they're not, somebody can sue me, and yours weren't even written in the first place by an attorney. But people do them sometimes. They need something quick and dirty. I mean, they're going out of the country and they need something. They want something in place and they don't have time to call an attorney. I don't recommend it. I would rather somebody called one of the legal services that are staffed by attorneys and do it there very inexpensively than do it and they are inexpensive and they're quality documents, than just download something from online and do it.
Debbie, I hear all the time about a living will, and I don't think a lot of people know what a living will is. Can you tell us, what don't they know or understand about a living will?
Most people who call me and say, well, I need a living will. And I said, okay, the living will is the document that you and Sophia probably have that, by the way, audience, I don't think she exists. She's just a figment of our imagination. But anyway, it's the document where you put down how you want your end of life handled. And people collapse that with a last will. They think it's the last will and testament, and it's not. So the living will is something that is useful for while you're living and you've reached a stage where a consulting physician and your physician determine there's no reasonable medical probability of recovery with an end-stage condition, which could be like kidney failure, or a terminal condition, which could be stage 4 cancer, or the persistent vegetative state, which is the dementia patient who just doesn't have any cognitive ability anymore. And that's where you say, keep me alive, don't keep me alive. Keep me alive under these circumstances. Don't keep me alive under those circumstances. But they're not the same. And for some reason, people have them as if they're the same. So the last will and testament is for after you pass. And the living will is while you're still here, at least breathing. And you have made decisions about how you want those last days to be. And it's a good document to have. I've recommended this book before. I think our producer put it up last time about Medicine in the 11th Hour by Sarita Puri, about palliative care. And that is all end of life. And you want those things in place for your family. You want to have those decisions made so you don't have spouses and children or whatever yelling and fighting with each other about this is what we're going to do. Um, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's book on death and dying, she talks in there about when somebody's dying, let them go. I mean, don't keep them around for you. Look at your motives, and certainly people will stay alive for seminal events. There's no doubt. They stay alive for weddings, and they stay alive for confirmations or bar mitzvahs. They stay alive for all sorts of things. But that's their will to live, not your unintentionally guilt tripping them into staying alive for you and suffering. I mean, I understand it. When my mother died, I begged her not to go, and she laughed at me. Did she laugh at me? I think she did. She said, "Deb, I'm dying," something like that. Okay. It was her kind of humor. But people they'll hang around, and that's, you really have to look. And if you need somebody to have a piece of paper that says, "No, we're not doing this, and I don't care what you say," and be willing to withstand the storm that comes from people you love and who love the person who's dying, who just don't want to see them go. I mean, most of us have probably had pets who died, and even, holy mackerel, a bird just flew into my window. Okay, I mean, hit the window. We have pets that we don't want to let go, and somebody has to step aside and say, they're suffering. They're not getting better.
Right.
They're not getting better. So, but that living will is about, you're still here, and how do you want to go? And the last will and testament is about, you're no longer here, and how do you want things handled?
Well, Debbie, this show goes by so fast. We've got about a minute left. First of all, give everybody your phone number and your website.
Okay, so my website is londonbakerlaw.com. Don't forget the law. People forget it, and then they go, I can't find you. London like the city, bakerlaw.com. The phone number is 813-586-1332, 813-586-1332. I mean, if you live out of Florida and you just want to talk to me, and I can give you any kind of general information with the disclaimer, I don't know your state, but here are some questions to ask that you can learn about. Part of my gift, part of my command from the Lord is to be of service. So if I can be of service, then, I'm happy. My voicemail says I return all calls by the end of the next business day. And if I don't, you now have permission to call me the day after that and say, what happened? That's another conversation about etiquette. But like I said, I love to be of service. And one of these days, you need to keep watching, because Steve's going to have people call in with questions, and I can't wait for that.
I promise we're going to do this on the next show.
That's what you
We got to
said.
get out of here. Attorney Debbie Baker, estate planning, last Monday of every month, right at 9:00. Debbie, thank you so much. God bless you. We'll see you again next month.
Have a great day. So long.
Thank you. That's attorney Debbie Baker. She's with us every month, last Monday of the month. We got our next show is really kind of a great follow-up. It's our wealth management show. And this is another show that we got so lucky on, that we got what I consider the best company when it comes to financial planning, when it comes to wealth management. And he's been with us for over a year now, and just gives out a wealth of information. The name of his company is Provise Wealth Management. We are waiting for him to come on. This is a live show. And, when you do a live show, things don't go exactly the way you want. But I understand Ray is here. And let's go to our intro and bring Ray on.
The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and TalkBoard TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
And again, good morning to all of our listeners and viewers in the Tampa area. So glad to have you. We are, I guess we're waiting on Ray to come on. There he is.
Good morning, Stephen.
Good to see you. Is your volume up, Ray?
I certainly hope so. Let's see.
Notice we're having a little trouble hearing. I can barely hear you in the background. I think that did it.
Is that any better?
That's much better.
For some reason the microphone switched over to the headphones, so here I am. Sorry about that.
No, listen, Ray, I absolutely understand that. And I still don't know how it does. It goes from one mic to another, but it does it. Today, you are following up to our estate planning show, which is perfect for what you do. And I don't know if you heard my opening, but, you know, when you have someone involved in your monies, your future monies, it's really got to be, Ray, somebody you can really trust and communicate with. And I was just thanking the audience. We are so blessed to have you because first of all, I love the way you communicate with our listeners. And it's so obvious, Ray, that you really, really do care. And not everybody is like that. So we're so blessed to have you. I would like for you, because we are getting new people every day finding our show. Tell everybody about your background and your company.
So I am the founder of a company called Provise Management Group, LLC, with offices in Clearwater and in Tampa. The company was founded in 1986. I've been doing financial planning and investment management since 1971. I know I don't look that old, Steve, but I am.
You do look great.
But we are a financial planning firm first and foremost. We are fortunate to be managing about $1.8 billion on behalf of our clients as of the end of June. But the fact is all of what we do is based around the planning aspect of our work. And with 13 certified financial planners, working with about 1,200 clients, we have a very low client to advisor ratio, which allows us to provide that outstanding service that for which we are known. And all I can say is that we continue to grow each and every day, and continue to learn each and every day, because this is a dynamic business, and life has a way of getting in the way, let alone Congress making changes for us. So it's a constant learning experience for all of us.
We had a listener last time ask me, what is Provise? I think I got it figured out. Pro advice, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it's close to that. When I originally named the company, it was going to be Provisor. But someone here in the state of Florida objected to the name being too close to theirs. So, and it was for a professional advisor. And so then I thought, well, maybe professional advice, as you just said. But then I thought Vice, VICE, that vice wasn't a good thing to be talking about when you're in the financial planning business.
Yes.
So it got changed to Provise Management Group. And I never wanted the firm named after me. It's not about me. It's about the clients. It's about the great team that we've got here. So that's how the name came about. I just finished reading Mark McCormick's book about IMG.
Yes.
I love the idea of management group because it allowed us to have a wide range of activities. And that was a very good decision given how dynamically the business has changed over the past few years.
You know, being an ex-sports agent myself, I always looked up to Mark. I mean, what he accomplished was amazing with his company.
Well, you know, the interesting part is that I had the opportunity in the early 90s to work with the NFL Players Association. In those days, the agents, as you know, also were involved on the investing side of things. And the Players Association wanted to do two things. One, they wanted to separate the roles of investment advisor from an agent, and then they wanted to provide financial literacy to the football players. And I was fortunate enough to be a group of about 10 of us that were able to help the NFL develop those rules early on, or those opportunities early on.
You know, I always like that our audience gets to know more about our experts. I got to tell you, that's the time that I was involved with the NFL as an agent. And I never understood why a player would have a advisor do both their contracts as well as their investments. It just never mixed. And I actually lost clients because I said, I do not handle money. I mean, I saw players that might do really well with 8 out of 10 deals. It was those 2 bad ones that they remembered. It was a no-win situation. But it's amazing. I always wondered why they didn't prepare the players better back then. And so I love what you did.
Well, it was a fun experience, learned an awful lot, and delighted to have been able to help hopefully help a lot of young men over the years.
I always wonder, Ray, because I've been out of it for so long. And the contracts. I mean, for me, for an offensive lineman, 80, 90,000 a year was a lot of money. Now it's 8, 9, 10 million for an offensive lineman. I wonder how players have adapted now, because the kind of money they make, they should definitely come out set for life, shouldn't they?
Well, they certainly have the opportunity to, Steve, but unfortunately, most of them have never seen that kind of money. They all at one time, for sure. Unfortunately, things haven't changed very much. The friends that come out of the woodwork when a young athlete, male or female, happens to sign a contract, family members who expect to be paid themselves, and there's a lot of pressure on these athletes, these young athletes, at the tender ages of somewhere between 21 and 23 as they come out of college, and it obviously it's hard to say no. in some of those situations.
Yes.
But one has to in order to protect their own financial security. Plus, on top of that, all of these athletes feel that they're going to be able to perform at those high levels for a long time.
That's
But
right.
there are very few Tom Brady's or Aaron Rodgers in football. And the average football player is only under contract for something just a little over 3 years. And that's the average when you think about the
Right.
long-term players. Many of them are only in the league for 1.5 years. And so the gravy train doesn't last forever, and they've got to tuck away that money and secure their future. Now, the flip side of that is that we can look at a number of athletes that, today. I think of Magic Johnson, Jordan, all who have developed good businesses and have good business savvy. And I think it's a responsibility of our schools and our different professional leagues to continue to provide the financial literacy that most of these young people have never gotten in school. And, the same thing's true whether it's a doctor or a lawyer. Very few colleges and universities are telling them what to do with their money and not teaching financial literacy, which is one of the biggest problems that exist in America today.
Well, I've been leading up to this because I wanted to bring it up to you. Last night I heard Charles Barkley talking, and he said, someone came up to him and said, "Charles, why do you need 8 cars?" And he said, "No one's ever done that. No one ever, just people just went along. I like cars." And he said, and the guy told me, he says, "You know what? I can understand you having a nice house. I can understand you buying your mom a house. But why do you need 4 mansions and why do you need 8 cars?" And here's a guy like Charles Barkley, who I consider a pretty smart guy. And look, at his career is still going on, but it's really true. Like, why do you need 8 cars?
Well, we all have our toys.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry that I'm in a hotel today, and the alarm just went off.
Oh my goodness gracious! The fact is we all have a certain number of toys, and we all look at them in different ways. And certainly somebody like Charles Barkley, who's also made a successful career for himself after playing basketball. It's a lifestyle to which some people become accustomed. For me, a lot of people might ask, why do I have a home and a fairly large boat? Because the boat's my toy. It's where I like to go and what I like to do, being on the water with my lovely wife, and fortunately I can. So it's but at some point we run out of collecting toys, and the fact is, people, as they start to slow down and enter into retirement, they're going to want to simplify life, not keep life complicated. Right. And they start to eliminate all of those things that they once wanted, but now getting back to the things that they really need. And I suspect that Mr. Barkley will find that to be true at some point. And maybe for him, that'll mean 2 homes instead of 4, and maybe 4 homes instead of 8.
Exactly. Well, let's get to today's show. And again, the name of the company is Provice, and we are so blessed to have Ray Ferrara as our expert. It seems like we are more than halfway through the year now. This year has gone by so fast, and it seems like the stock market has been volatile. Is now a good time to do some tax loss harvesting, or should someone want to wait until the end of the year?
So, Steve, unfortunately, that always comes down to that famous answer of mine. It depends. The first thing that one should do is to look at investments and to determine the proper time to sell them. You know, we all get excited about when to buy stocks. That's the easy decision, but when to sell them becomes a little more difficult. And as I like to say to people, the best time to sell a stock is when you're no longer willing to buy it. And to that end, if I buy a stock at $10 a share and it goes to $15 a share, you know, many people will say, well, I'm holding on until it gets to 17 a share. Well, why?
Right.
Well, because I want to get 70% return. And the real question people ought to be asking themselves is, would I buy more at $15 a share? And if the answer to that is no, then what you're really saying is that there's little value left in it by your perception. And if there's little value in it, you should be selling it. Conversely, if we buy at 10 and it goes to 5, most people say, well, as soon as that dog gets back to 10, I'm going to sell it, because none of us want to take a loss. But the real question they should be asking is do I think it's a better buy at 5 than I did at 10? And if the answer is yes, then, you know, buy some more of it. If the answer is no, time to sell it. So with that in mind, going back to your question on tax loss harvesting, right now, if you have a stock that you like, that you really want to own, but it has a loss, you can go ahead and sell it today and buy it back in 31 days and hope that there's not a huge movement in the stock to the upward direction at that point. So that's one way of doing the tax loss harvesting. A stock that you've bought that went the wrong way, but you feel good about in the long term, buy it back. Excuse me. The next thing one can do is to sell that stock and buy one that's similar if you like the industry. If you like the entertainment business, you might sell XYZ, and then I was going to say buy ABC, but then that's really a company. So I want to be careful. I want to be careful in the entertainment business, so that you're staying within the sector, but you're because you like the sector and you're finding another company within that sector. Or the easiest thing to do if you want, because you want to stay in the market, is sell off those stocks with the losses today, capture them, and then just buy into the S&P 500 for that 30 days or 60 days until you buy the stock back if you think you want it. So in that regard, we find ourselves with harvesting them, particularly when we don't like the stock anymore. Take the losses. Hopefully we're going to have some gains. We've had a spectacular July. The market is up about the Dow Jones is up about 3% for the month. Still got today to go. Looking ahead to the end of the year, there may be some other opportunities for losses, but if you can capture it today, and particularly if it's a stock that you don't like anymore, go ahead and take it today, and hopefully you'll have gains between now and the end of the year to take to help offset those losses.
Ray, why did I not know you when I bought Eastern Airlines and TWA and Braniff?
Well, now you are aging yourself, Steve.
Yes. Especially Braniff.
Indeed. So the great competitor to Braniff in those days was a little company called Southwest, and they were only allowed in the beginning to fly within the borders of Texas. A little known fact.
I remember those days. They could only fly out of Love Field. They couldn't even fly out of DFW. So I remember those days. But I got to tell Ray, it's the way you explain things. I think that if they're looking for a financial planner, that it's so important that you understand everything that's being discussed. And that's what I love about when I hear how you talk to our listeners and viewers. It makes it so easy to understand for something that's a little bit on the complicated side.
Well, Steve, unfortunately, some people like to impress others by the words that they use. And I've always felt that if nickel and dime words work, you don't need to use quarter, half dollar, or silver dollar words to just sound impressive. What's really important is to have good communication. And one of the things that I really encourage people as they're looking for a financial advisor is to find somebody who has what I refer to as a good table manner. We think about doctors wanting a good bedside manner, a doctor who will explain things to us in terms that we'll understand, not using all the fancy scientific lingo. The same is true in working with a financial advisor. You want somebody who has a good tableside manner, somebody who's going to speak to you in a language that you can understand. And one of the most important things is to not invest in anything that you don't understand. You can go all the way back to Peter Lynch in the late 70s and the 80s when he was at Fidelity Funds. That was, he said, I just don't buy things I don't understand. It's one of the reasons that I have a problem with cryptocurrency. I don't understand it. I get it, but I don't understand it. And I don't know how you make money on it. To me, it's a greater fool's theory. I like things that have substance. I like things that companies that make products, make a profit because they sell things. And things that are easier to understand. And so we do try very hard here at Provise to be good communicators and to speak in a simple language that everybody can hopefully understand and be comfortable with in understanding what they're doing and what they're buying.
I had a question that was asked of me, and I wanted to save it till the end of the show. There's so many areas that we haven't gotten to that you're with us twice every month that we'll be doing next month, which is right around the corner. But I had a viewer wanting to know, he's been with his financial advisor for 20 years. They've got a great friendship, but he's listened to your show, and I knew this was going to happen. And he wanted to know how he could approach coming and sitting down and talking to you, and when he's got someone he's been doing business with for a long time.
Well,
great compliment to you.
Well, it is, and we appreciate it. The first thing I would say is take advantage of our 1 hour complimentary consultation. We do it in person or by Zoom because we do have clients outside of the Tampa Bay area. So we have that capability, as most people do today. But let's just sit down and chat. And one of the first things I'm going to ask someone is, what do you expect from your financial advisor? Because what I think we should be providing may not be what they think is important. And so I want to know what they're expecting from a financial advisor. And then the second question, since he has a friend who's been an advisor for 20 years, is what is it that the current advisor is not doing for you that has you come to visit with us? And if they tell me it's because their portfolio's down over the last 18 months, well, most of us are in that position, and we're not down as badly as many, but it's been a tough time with the Federal Reserve over the time period. But the thing I hear more than anything else from people who have been with an advisor for a long time is two things, and it's both around communication, which we were talking about earlier. The first is I call and I leave a message, and they don't call back. And when they do call back, they just have answers that are stock answers and not specific answers to me and to my portfolio. and I'm just not getting the time and attention that I once did. And that's one of the reasons why here at Provise we have such a low ratio of advisor to individuals. We want to always be available to provide information, and we work in teams so that there's generally 2 advisors working with each client, along with a client relationship advisor, the one that takes care of all the paperwork and everything in the back room. So in using that team, we're able to provide that service on an ongoing basis. So even like now, when people are on vacations, we've got backup available to help all of our clients. And those are the biggest reasons. Ultimately, if you decide to make a change of the advisor, you just got to, I advise clients to pick up the phone and just call and tell them. Don't move the account without telling them. If it's truly been somebody who has helped you over the last 20 years, you owe it to them to let them know why you're leaving. And in fact, you're helping them by telling them, because maybe that will keep them from losing another client somewhere else.
Customer service is very important to you, isn't it?
It's first and foremost. One of the expressions that we have around here is IQS, integrity, quality, and service. And in our business, if you don't have the integrity and the reputation of integrity, providing quality advice with outstanding service, you won't be in business very long. So,
Ray, give everybody your phone number and your website.
Sure. The telephone number is 727-441-9022, and it's scrolling below the screen right now. And the website is Provise at provise.com. That's PROVISE.com. Very simple. Go to our website, learn a little bit more about us, and then think about taking advantage of that 1-hour complimentary consultation. There's no risk involved. There's no money involved. It's just an opportunity for us to meet and to chat. And if we can't help you, perhaps we can refer you to someone who can.
Ray, thank you so much. As always, Ray will be back with us again for 2 more shows next month. We'll be letting you know what those dates are. Ray, thanks so much. Have a good week.
Save, thank you very much, and safe travels, and I'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
For sure.
Take care.
And that is another Ask the Expert show. We'll be back with you again next Monday at 9 o'clock with more of our experts. See you then.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.